Check it out.
You'd have a problem.
I reckon we would, but, you know, thank God we're not a drug, because drugs are not all that, you know, good stuff, you know, when you're drugging, as they say. Nah, you don't want to be a drug. Well, it's a figure of speech if we were a drug. I suppose if we were a drug, yeah, you know, you'd be pretty hooked, I suppose, but, you know, thank God we're not, because it's not good for people to be hooked on things that are not supposed to be good to be hooked on. Ah, see, that's a famous saying. Somebody, when I'm dead, will, you know, write that and say, Kim Nicolaou said that on the FatsaFatsaTvShow. Yes, okay, so, my dear people, new music for you today. Yes, new music. So, we got the new music for you, and we will be playing it. Yes, we will be playing it right now, actually, pretty soon. Now, the new music is by a guy called Jeff Dbury. I think it could be right. Maybe he's a bit Frenchy as well. Like, you know, people in Canada, most of them are French, but I don't know what he's doing so originally from Chicago. But, you know, I suppose Chicago has some French people there. Now, Jeff Dbury, he is, or he was actually, a veteran rocker. He writes and records his own songs. He performs all the instruments. So who is Jeff? Let me give you a little peek at who is Jeff while we're talking about him. You know, we don't wanna, that's what's so nice about doing your own kind of show. No rules, no relegations, no bosses to tell you what to do, what not to do. And let's get back to the guy. Now, the guy has a lot of history. He's been playing music from God knows when. He's been a drummer. I did tell you that. Let's start again. Jeff Dbury, he's a vet rock musician, right? So let's get that straight. Now, the guy, as far as I know, I've been following him on Facebook. Like I said to you, I do follow stuff that's happening on Facebook. Don't think I don't, because I do. Yes, I do. And I've heard a few of his tunes. He usually has his tunes on Reverb Nation, and I think Amazon as well, you go buy them. But most people, as most people do, they have them on Reverb Nation. Why they don't have them on FatsaFatsa.com, I do not know, because they can earn money from that. But that's a different story altogether. But I have been listening to some of Jeff's tunes, and on and off, you know, like a friendly, distant thing that we are on Facebook, we do get to say occasional like and occasional yes man and yes dude or like that, you know. That's a bit of conversation. It's about the biggest conversation we've ever had. It would be nice if we had a bigger conversation, like people actually ringing up and saying, hey man, let's chat about the moon, and we would. Anyway, back to Jeff. Now, Jeff, we said that, originally from Chicago, Illinois, he does everything himself. This is what I'm trying to say to you. He does everything himself. He's a one-man band, so to speak. He's a drummer originally, and he's played with many bands all through the 80s and 90s. And when you hear his music, it's got still that good edgy 80s and 90s feel of rock, you know. Although he's been playing with so many different people that you can't really pinpoint and make a finger and say, you know, that sounds a bit like Status Quo or AC/DC. No. There's ingredients of most of composers or writers more than actual bands, because what I understood is Jeff has been avoiding playing the local clubs and pubs and things that most bands play covers, you know. I remember when I first played, or with my band, we used to play like Beatles tracks, because in the 60s, you know, Beatles were the great things, and the Rolling Stones and all this stuff, and even Frank Sinatra stuff, because that's what people wanted to hear. Nobody wanted to go and see an unknown band in a pub, and you started playing them something, you know, that sounded like it came from, I don't know, from Saturn, outer space, or, you know, Uranus. Uranus. We had a bit of that as well. Anyway, just to get that, Jeff has a point. You know, he didn't really want to go around and keep playing all that sort of old stuff. So therefore, it's a bit difficult to find a band or find another bunch of musicians that actually would form a band in this day and age and have this dream of, say, yeah man, you know, we like your songs, let's chip in together and play. A lot of the musicians today are all on ego tripping things, you know. It's not like the old days where everybody chipped in and did a little bit, you know. A lot of the musicians now are all manufactured garbage. It comes in one day, goes out the next. There's really not a lot of money in it. You might think there is, but there isn't. I'll show you about the money thing a bit later on. And what I'm trying to say is that Jeff has a point. He does good music. He does it himself. I mean, hey, you know, Stevie Wonder was one about the first persons actually to overdub his Superstition. He played everything on that one. That's history, 1972. Actually, the first person that played every single note on Superstition. Or so it's said. I mean, you know, I wasn't there, but this is what we read in the history books. Coming up to Jeff. Now, Jeff is a renowned musician. He does get a lot of plays here and there. He has got quite a lot of followers. He's got his CDs out. Yes, that he's doing his own, you know, shop selling merchandise and all this stuff. And he doesn't conform to the norm, so to speak. So he is a bit of a special case, you know, inverted commas, a bit of a special case. And he can knock up a tune. I've seen him, you know, he maybe in a day or two. And this morning when he said, I got a tune nearly finished, just got to do this. And by the time I wrote to him and he wrote back and so on, within hours he finished it. And that's great. So we're going to hear that. I you know, put that together so we can hear it today. Going back to a bit of history about Jeff again. Like I say, he did the clubs 80s and 90s, and he also did the Hollywood, you know, the Sunset Strip. He spent about 4.5 years in California from 86 to 90, playing with a band called Backstreet Rocker. Nothing to do with the Backstreet Boys, nothing at all. Backstreet Rockers, they were called. And that's where, along the way, I suppose, he learned to play all the other instruments, apart from the drums. And he does the guitar, he does the bass guitar, lead guitar, the keyboards. And from the experiences of playing other people's stuff and all that, he got into writing his own tunes and recording them. Hence, most probably, when he got a bit, you know, desperado in the sense that, you know, hey man, I need a bass for my song, and somebody let him down here, there, and everywhere. He thought, well, fuck this, man. I'm gonna pick up the bass, and he did, and that is one way of doing it. Amazing thing is, my ex-drummer in Shaftesbury, or Keemstar TR, my band, most drummers I found actually play keyboards. They somehow, you know, they're connected. I know for a fact that the bass and the drums are connected. So there you go. Now we've got a whole thing here on Jeff. It's very interesting, actually, his history thing here. So anyway, he started writing his own tunes, and he doesn't perform his music anyway. He says, because as I told you, it's very difficult to find a bunch of guys that will actually do it. And I sympathise with him. It's wrong, it's not right, but you know, this is how people are nowadays. You know, it's rather unfortunate. So if anybody's listening to this and want to jam in with old Jeff, give him a call. Find him on Facebook, and also we'll find the details here after we finish. So in most of the bands that he's ever played through his life, he's played the drums. And this is where he, like I said, he picked up to write the songs. And he says, quote, my music to me sounds more like a combination of just about every single band I've ever played with in the past. And my biggest influences are actually some of the songwriters. Make a note of that. Some of the songwriters I have played with in the past is more than any other famous band that is out there. In other words, he's really played with a lot of songwriters, and he's got into the songwriting thing. And that is pretty good. And at the end of the day, if you don't go around touring with a band and you've got a nice little cracking little tune and it's picked up by somebody, you've done the job. So without further ado, and a lot of blah blah and all this stuff that I'm giving you, my man, I don't mean to, actually. I mean, at the end of the day, don't get me wrong, I'm only just doing my job. Let's go in there and hear old Jeff, right? Are you ready, people? Are you ready as you can be? Because here we go.
New music. New music.
Maximum music.
Burning like a fire, raging out of control. Heat going down.
R-O-C-K, rock and roll. That is Jeff Dbury here on the FatsaFatsaTvShow, and this is his new release, and we're very happy to have it. Guy's a veteran rocker, and God bless him, and we're going to hear more of him on this show, hopefully, if he gives us more of his tunes. Yeah! Okay, so...
Welcome to the future.